Nammo. Good morning. Thank you for joining me for our daily practice check-in. Listen, listen, listen. This beautiful sound calls us back to our true home. The fifth mindfulness training. Aware of the suffering caused by unmindful consumption, I vow to cultivate good health, both physical and mental, for myself, my family, and my society, by practicing mindful eating, drinking, and consuming. I will ingest only items that preserve peace, well-being, and joy in my body, in my consciousness, and in the collective body and consciousness of my family and society. I am determined not to use alcohol or any other item that contains toxins, such as certain TV programs, magazines, books, films, and conversations. I'm aware that to damage my body or my consciousness with these poisons is to betray my ancestors, my parents, my society, and future generations. I will work to transform violence, fear, anger, and confusion in myself and in society by practicing a diet for myself and for society. I understand that a proper diet is crucial for self-transformation and the transformation of society. For our readings, we've been reading a book by the nuns of Amaravati called The Body, Dhamma Reflections on Aging, Sickness, and Death. And we're in the Dhamma talk by Ajahn Candasiri called Meeting Death and Sadness. It's interesting how sometimes we don't really appreciate the most obvious things. I'm always interested in how long it was before the Buddha really woke up to the facts of old age, sickness, and death. According to the legend, he was 29 before these facts of human existence really became apparent to him. True, it's said that he had a protected life, that his father had done his utmost to make sure the young prince didn't experience anything that would cause him to question the values with which he had been brought up. But I find it hard to imagine that he never saw anybody who was old or sick, that he never saw any living being die. However, when I contemplate my own life, I begin to understand how that might be the case, because it seems that we have some built-in defense mechanism, something which clouds our vision so that we don't recognize the fact of our own mortality. We tend to live life as though we'll continue forever, putting things off, saying we'll do something next year or at some other time. It's only when something happens to us or somebody close to us dies that we are shocked into appreciating the fact of our own mortality. The Buddha talks a lot about this and encourages us to be very conscious of it, not so that we become totally depressed, but more to give us an incentive to look into our own lives and learn as much as we can about this human existence. In this way, we can discover and apply the causes of happiness and begin to relinquish the causes of unhappiness. When the Buddha finally agreed to offer these teachings, it was out of compassion. He saw that there were beings who were struggling in their lives, who were suffering unnecessarily. He saw that if they could understand certain things, they would suffer less and could eventually experience the sublime happiness of liberation. The first of the Four Noble Truths is that life is difficult. The second is that there is a reason why it's difficult. This is referred to as the cause or origin of suffering, which is attachment to desire, clinging to desire. Sometimes people misunderstand this and think that Buddhist teaching is about not having any desires, that if you're a good Buddhist, you don't have any desires. but that would be to enter some kind of zombie-like state, because as human beings, of course, we all have desires. Some of them are wholesome and skillful, and some of them are not so skillful. The Buddha's teachings are always very simple and very precise. He explained that the problem comes from attachment to 3 different kinds of desire. There's desire for sense pleasures, delicious food, pleasant fragrances, beautiful sights, pleasant sounds, enjoyable bodily experiences, and delightful ideas. In Buddhism, the mind is also considered to be a sense. Then, there's the desire to exist, bhavatanha, the sense of being somebody existing in the world as a permanent, fixed, solid person. The third desire is the desire not to exist, as when we feel fed up with the world or want to do away with ourselves through suicide, blanking out, or just sleeping all the time, or using intoxicants so that we don't actually have to experience life. Attachment to these 3 kinds of desires causes suffering. May all beings be well. May all beings be happy. May all beings be peaceful. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you for joining me this morning.